Welcome to the Startups Without Borders podcast. I'm Valentina Primo, and I'm the founder of this platform, this community, and this movement for entrepreneurs who are starting new ventures while starting new lives. Each week, we'll be sharing inspiring interviews with the most audacious startup founders while highlighting resources for anyone starting up. Gear up to get some real-life advice. You're listening to the Startups Without Borders podcast, episode 24. Today, we speak to a digital nomad who has taken on the mission of teaching thousands of people how to become financially free. Francisco Ortiz is a digital nomad, a YouTuber, social media influencer, and investor who left the comfort of his office job in Argentina and began exploring the world full-time in search for more freedom. He sold all his things, invested his savings, and created an online business to be able to travel sustainably as a digital nomad. In his channel, he shares experiences and lessons in digital marketing, personal finance, entrepreneurship, minimalism, and travel. He's obsessed with helping people get out of the comfort zone, so gear up for a chat that will shatter your perceptions of possible and impossible. Hi, Fran. How are you? I'm super excited to have you at the Startups Without Borders podcast.
Hi, Valen. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be part of this.
I'm super excited to tell everyone about your story. So for everyone who doesn't know, Francisco and I actually come from the very same city. We grew up very close to each other, although we never met each other. We only met each other through Instagram because Fran is a travel blogger, a digital nomad. So I found him and we started chatting somehow. And I'm super excited. I want you to start telling us a little bit about your journey. You left everything back home, back in Argentina. You quit your job. You sold everything you had to become a travel blogger, now an investor, a vlogger, a YouTuber, and a digital nomad. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and what does it mean to be a digital nomad?
Yes, for sure. I've done many things, but digital nomad, it's a pretty simple concept. Is basically two words. Digital means you make money online through the internet. Nomad is a little bit more tricky. It means you're not based just in one place. You move around. You don't need to travel full time, move every single day. You can have bases around the world, maybe 3 months here, 3 months there. And that's pretty much it. When I left everything, I didn't know anything about this concept. It was not like I want to be a digital nomad. I just wanted to travel. And I realized that the way to make it sustainable was going to be like making money online, basically. So in the beginning, I tried to be a travel blogger, but I was not making enough money to be able to support my travels. So I decided to start freelancing as a marketing consultant, and then I was a remote employee for some startups. And lately, my YouTube channel exploded, and so now I would say that I'm a full-time YouTuber. But I kept it flexible. My goal was to be able to have more freedom and be able to travel around.
Right. I'm wondering, how do you combine that with, your personal and professional growth when you're having such an exciting travel agenda, you're moving around? How do you pair that with your goals?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. My goal in the big picture is to become more and more free every day. So I define freedom basically being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, and with whoever you want. So a lot of freedom, right? So that's the big goal. And I keep the day-to-day pretty flexible. That's why I've been through many different things. And traveling I really like traveling. It's my passion. So that's why I do travel, and I love exploring new cultures. But it's not easy. I think maybe if I analyze my journey, traveling slowed me down a little bit. Maybe I could have grown faster if I would have been just simply in front of the laptop, but I wouldn't be happy. And for me, the main goal of, like, if you're not happy with your journey, what's the point of growing, right? Like, you're not growing in the full sense of the word.
Exactly.
So I think it's hard, but I guess you need to find that balance, and that's a very personal thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's part of the dream, right? It's part of that dream of building the life that you want, the life of your dreams, as you were saying, building something meaningful while it's meaningful for you, right?
Right. Yeah. 100%. Like it's not about copying what others do. It's just discovering what's best for you.
Mm-hmm. What would you say was the turning point? I mean, was it that moment when you left everything, when you decided to sell everything? Was it somewhere in your travels that you decided to change? What do you feel was the biggest turning point in that journey?
I think that one of the first moments where I realized there was other, like, different lifestyles was when I did my first exchange program in the US. I was a university student, and during the summer, our summer break, I went and worked in the US. And even if I had a kind of like a traditional life, because I had a 9-to-5 job and I worked every single day while I was there, I was exposed to a very different culture. And then I thought, I met some people that actually traveled and worked seasonally. And I was like, wow, like this is incredible. Like, they live 6 months in one hemisphere, 6 months in the other one. And maybe that's not for me, but maybe there's something in the middle that I can try. And I still finished university and got a corporate job. And then I didn't like it, got a startup job. It was great, but I was still in the office the whole day. So I decided just to explore and try different things. And I would say now I'm very happy with what I'm doing today.
Right. I guess the $1 million question here is, how do you make money? What everyone is wondering. They see these travel bloggers on Instagram, these influencers. I know you talk a lot about passive income. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us what's the secret behind it.
Yeah. So basically nowadays I'm focused mostly on my YouTube channel. I have many revenue streams. The main one, the one that everyone knows, is advertising. So on my videos, there's ads from companies that YouTube puts there. Then there's affiliate marketing, where you promote a service or product from another brand. And if someone buys through you, you get a commission, either a percentage or a fixed amount. And then, for example, in my case, I also have a course where I teach people how to become either YouTubers, bloggers, or freelancers. Then sometimes I do sponsor posts too. So some of them are active. For example, sponsor post, I need to actually do the post. But for example, with affiliate marketing, it's kind of passive income. Why? Because I create the content once, and then if that content keeps growing through time, it gets more views. Some people end up buying something through me, and I keep making money, even if I did that video once, right? So that's the definition of passive income is having an asset that keeps bringing you money through time. In my case, it's not a traditional form. It's a YouTube video, which sounds like very crazy. But in other cases, it could be like, I don't know, you buy a house and then you get the rent every month. That's the other extreme, way more traditional, right? But nowadays with the internet, there's like tons of different ways to actually generate money, and in some cases, passive income.
Right. I want to stop for a minute at the content creation part, because I know a lot of our listeners have their own blogs, their own YouTube channels. What would be your tips for content creators to generate more revenue, to increase their audience? Yes,
very good question. I think you need to have very clear what's your niche. So what are the topics that you're going to talk about, and try to focus as much as you can in, I would say, the intersection between what you know a lot about, what you enjoy talking or writing about, and then what people are interested in, right? So, because if people are not interested in that topic, you're not going to make, like, you're never going to grow. If you don't like it, you're probably going to burn out after some time, because it's not easy. It's going to take time, right? So if you're doing something you don't enjoy, you're going to burn out. And if you don't know what you're talking about, you're probably not going to create good content. So ideally, you should try to find the intersection between those three things. And then you should explore or understand how platforms differ, because they're very different. Like TikTok is not the same as YouTube. It's not the same as a blog. And understand which one is the best one to get your message out to the world. And then also, if you want to be a little more strategic, understand who your target audience is,
right?
And just speak to them, straight to them. And well, then it's just a matter of consistency. You need to create a lot of content, and maybe the video number 200, which is my case, the video number like 200 is going to explode, and then change the future of your channel or of your business in general.
Wow, I love that. It's a bit like entrepreneurship and like everything, right? Like it's persistence until one day you're going to see the results.
Yes.
Fran, what other ways do we have to create passive income for those that want to start thinking of passive income for their lives?
Well, another way could be start to invest in stocks, for example, and specifically in companies that pay dividends, right? So in simple terms, there are some companies that share part of their revenue or their profits with their shareholders, which are the people that bought stocks, right? So basically, this means you buy a stock, and then every 3 months in general, or every month, or every once a year, it depends, but generally every 3 months, you get a small percentage. It's small, but if you do it over time and you invest more and more and more, it could become bigger. That's another traditional way to make passive income. But I would say if you're starting, you can do that with your savings. But don't try to live from investing. That's very hard. Usually you need to take lots of risks. It's a lot easier to focus on creating something online.
Right. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I started investing, following your advice, on an app. So Fran has, in his blog, he advises people how to invest using an app called eToro, right, Fran?
Yes.
And I find it very interesting because investing is such a scary world. It's so unknown. It seems like such a big word. And it makes it so simple, right? In a way that you can follow other people who are investing. Is that how you started? How can people start if there is, a young entrepreneur who's interested in starting to invest their money and, entering the stock game? Would you advise going through an app? What would you advise?
I think the best way is just start. Just try with very little money. That's how I started. I studied business, but I didn't really learn anything about investing in stocks or anything. So I think at that time it was like, I don't know, $50 or $100 because it was in pesos at that time. I don't really remember.
Right.
And I bought a very small part of some stocks from companies that I knew at that time. I didn't know much. And then over time, I started understanding why something goes up or goes down, etc. And I started reading more. But if you really don't want to take the time to learn, that's a great way. What you mentioned about like being able to copy others without any cost, and just it's like someone you trust manages your money, but with no cost, because traditionally you will have to pay a lot to be able to do that. Right. I think things like that are very, very interesting, are new ways of investing that people should explore. There's not one best answer or solution. The best way to learn is the same way as the best way to learn anything, just simply experiencing it, like trying.
Right. Yeah, I was recently reading a book about it, and I was surprised. It said like invest early, start early, and the amounts can be, $200. It's not that big. I used to think that that was for very rich people, right? So yeah. I find it very interesting that you can actually access that world, even if with a small margin at the beginning, but you can start somewhere, right?
Yeah. I think what is hard to understand for normal people is the magic, they say, of compound interest.
Yeah.
And that's why it's very important to start early, because it's not only what you invest, but it's what the capital that you invested before keeps growing, and it grows on itself. Let's say that would be the easiest way to explain it, right? And the biggest advantage or the biggest difference is when it's through a very long period of time. So if you invest, let's say $300 every month through 40 years, you become a millionaire, even if actually what you invested directly is a lot less, and that's through compound interest.
Right. That's a very complicated concept, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's the magic of time, right? So it's about patience. It's about, allowing for time to grow your capital. Fran, I'm also very, very interested. So for those that don't know Fran, he goes around traveling the world with these t-shirts that have all these inspirational phrases. He talks a lot about minimalism, right? As a lifestyle, as a mindset. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What does it mean to live a minimalist life?
Yeah. I think minimalism as a tool to be able to declutter your life in general and be able to focus on the really important things, the things that actually matter. Most of the people start with things, right? So most of us have too many things, and those things many times slows us down. So by just giving away, donating, selling, and getting rid of all that stuff, normally you become more productive, more happy, you have more space in general. You can also be helping other people, right, that don't have those things and probably need them. But that's, from my point of view, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think minimalism can go a lot deeper, especially when you start thinking about decluttering, for example, your relationships, to be able to actually focus on the ones that matter, right, the more important ones.
Right.
Or, for example, apply the same concept to projects that you're in. So focus on the really important ones and don't be all over the place, right? And I think being able to focus on today's world is very, very difficult. It's an ongoing challenge.
Yeah.
It's not something. It's not like a destination. Okay, I got here. I'm a minimalist. I'm done. Right? It's like a daily thing that you need to keep practicing, and sometimes you might have a lot of stuff again, and then you need to declutter. So it's a very interesting journey to take.
Yeah. So right now you are in Georgia. You settled down for a little while in Tbilisi, right?
Yes.
And what's next for Francisco?
Good question. Well, because of the situation with Corona and everything, there's a lot of uncertainty. So I don't really know what's going to happen by the end of this year, by the end of 2021. But at least I know that till October, I'm going to be based here. I've already signed a rental agreement for the first time for 1 year.
Wow.
It's very rare in my case. But I think I'm going to keep focusing on growing my channel. It's become an actual business. I've never made as much money as I'm made now, even working for different companies. So I'm very grateful for that, and I want to keep growing and helping more and more people with finance and with marketing and with all the topics I talk about. Travel, I don't know. Maybe if borders are open, maybe I'll do some short trips till October.
Yeah.
After October, I don't really know. Like I'm pretty flexible.
Right. And why Georgia? You've been to more than 70 countries. You've been all over the world. Why did you choose that country?
Yeah. I think it's a very easy country to live in. In general, it's very, very open, very friendly. In fact, people from, I think, over 90 nationalities can stay here for over a year as a tourist. Normally, countries have a limitation of 90 days.
Right.
You can come here and stay for an entire year. Just go outside one day and come back. That's very easy. It's very affordable. It's quite cheap, but at the same time, you have lots of comforts if you have more budget. So it's not like you don't have anything and it's just the only option to be cheap. So you can enjoy a mix of I would say a mix of developing country, but also some comforts of a very developed country if you have more budget. And I think that's also very interesting. Normally, it's very well connected with flights. Mm-hmm. That's not happening right now.
Right.
Also, taxes are very, very low. So that's also a very good thing. It's in general, I would say, it's a very easy, friendly, business friendly also country. So it's a very interesting destination to explore.
Right. Yeah, I guess those things are super important, right? When living as a digital nomad, choosing places that are favorable, that are open. And I've seen the rise of these countries that are promoting themselves as hubs for digital nomads, right? What are other countries where people can go and get, a long-term visa, get facilities with taxes? Do you have others to advise?
So there's a lot of interesting places to explore. I think there's not one best place. It depends on the priorities that you have. Either you want to look for a very affordable place or a tax-friendly place. I think the best way is to just go explore maybe as a tourist for some days, and then you'll probably realize which one is the best one.
Amazing. Amazing. Now, I guess the big question for everyone listening is, can you be an entrepreneur and build a startup while being a digital nomad?
That's a very tough question, because in my experience, I think the more you travel, the more you slow down your growth in general in your business. So it depends how much you want to scale. If you want to grow a very big startup with lots of employees, especially in the beginning, you'll need to be available almost 24/7. So I don't think it's going to be compatible with being a digital nomad. You'll probably have to stop, get a base, and stay there for a while, at least in the beginning while you grow. Unless you have the best team in the world that will do everything for you, but then you will be an investor, not the actual founder or CEO, right? So I think in the beginning, depending on your ambition, you should be more stable. And then once you grow, maybe you can move around a little bit more. Of course, it depends on the industry, it depends on the kind of product or service you're selling, depends on your customers and many other different variables. But in general, I would say that the more you move, the harder it's going to get to be able to grow big. In fact, in my personal experience, I'm transitioning into being more stable and maybe have 3, 4, 5 months in one place. Then I travel for 1 month or 3 weeks, and then 3, 4 months again stable, because I'm in that phase where I actually want to grow as much as I can for a while.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point. And I guess it relates to your goals, right? As you said, if your goal is to grow really, really fast and scale at a startup level, then that's another thing. If you're building perhaps a business, an online business that is a little bit more slower in the growth, then you can travel a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. If you have what they call a lifestyle business, which would be more or less what I have, it's more like a personal thing, a personal brand. It's easier because it's on you. You're not slowing down anyone else, right? It's if I just don't want to upload any video this month, I'm fine. I'm my income is going to be okay. Maybe it's a little lower, but it's okay. I'm not affecting anyone. No problem. But if you are building a big thing with lots of employees, it would be a little bit maybe irresponsible to not take care of the business.
Yeah. Fran, you're constantly growing. You went from influencer to travel blogger to YouTuber, investor. What are the sources that you consume for personal growth? Do you read books? What kind of books? Do you follow influencers? I know you follow Gary Vee. I think we've talked about him so many times. What advices can you give us and our community to seek for that personal and professional growth?
when I was younger, I actually read a lot more than now. Like I think in my university period, I used to read a lot of personal growth books. And even before, during high school, I used to read lots of those books, and people looked at me like I was a weirdo because everyone was reading fiction and I was reading maybe like, I don't know, the 7 Habits of Effective People or Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was like 15, right? But then at some point, I think I stopped reading books, and I transitioned more to consuming content in the form of either podcasts or lately a lot of YouTube videos, because as I worked on the platform, I want to see what other people that are way ahead of me are doing. And I think in different areas of life, I have different influencers, let's say, right? So in personal finance, I might follow some people, and then in marketing, others. Gary Vee was an inspiration when I started. Now I probably follow people that are a little bit more relatable, because he's like too much ahead of me. And also he's scaling to a point that I don't want to go into. Like, I don't want to grow a big company. So for me, it's just not an example anymore.
Right.
So I would say that the best advice I could give is just try to find someone that is at a position that you want to be at in, let's say, 2 years or 5 years, but don't go for the best in the world if you don't want to go all the way up to that level. Right. For myself, I kind of found what I want, and I'm okay with not growing and not trying to grow to be the number one in the world in anything. I'm fine. I'm happy with what I have. So I follow people that are just maybe 1 or 2 years ahead of me.
Right. Right. That's
so that would be my advice. Like, don't go for the one that is very unreachable.
Right. That's a good advice. And that's a good decision to take, right? So this is where I want to go. Not everyone has to build the $1 billion company. Perhaps what you want to build is a more sustainable business that allows you for a personal or family life as well, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
In the beginning of the year, we had 5 or 6 people working for us. And at some point, it didn't make much sense anymore. Now we just have 1 part-time person working for us. We covered some of the tasks. It brought us more stress than anything, and we're still growing by ourselves. So I think it's like finding this balance, or the big challenge is trying to find the balance the entire time while you grow. But I don't think growing has to be necessarily the goal. It's just being okay with what you have and understanding where you want to go, but not keep growing like crazy the entire time if that is making you more unhappy.
Right. And one of the things that you made me think about is this famous phrase or famous quote that says that you become the result of the 5 people you hang out the most with, right? And it makes me wonder, like, how do you do that when traveling all the time, or when being a digital nomad? How do you connect and make sure to keep in touch with the people that inspire you to become your best self?
Yeah, I think the key here is that was a quote many years ago. I would say the quote now is not only the people that you hang out with in person, it's also about the content you consume.
Right.
So I probably change a lot of, like, I hang out with different people all the time, but I'm still very focused on the content I try to consume. Like we were talking before, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a book, maybe it's a YouTube video or a YouTuber that I follow. So I think that's a way to curate who you're around with, especially in this time. For example, like many people are still in quarantine or have been in quarantine for many months. How do you do it? You cannot connect with anyone. Well, I think by defining very well or selecting very well the content you consume on a daily basis, I think you're increasing your chances to become closer to the people that you're consuming the content from.
Right. These role models, right? Yeah. And I love it. One of the people I admire the most, a female entrepreneur, always says that if you can't find a mentor, if you can't, it's also what you're saying, the content that you consume. So your mentors may not know you. But if you follow them, you listen to podcasts, you do get that mentorship and that inspiration. So I want to close with one last question. Who are the podcasts that you listen to and the books? If you can tell us 2 or 3 books or podcasts that you would recommend.
Oof. Para que esta la tengo que pensar.
Esta no estaba en el guión.
No. Pero déjame, I would have to check my phone.
Okay, sure.
Un segundo.
Estaba para los bloopers.
Let's see the podcast I have on my phone.
But I can repeat the question as well.
Yeah. But... Okay. Puedes repetir cuando quieras.
Okay. So I love what you're saying because it relates to one of the people I admire the most, a female blogger called Rachel Hollis. She says that if you can't find mentors, if you can't find that kind of people that influence you and the person that you want to become, you can just follow podcasts and follow people that will still teach you. And they may not know you. You may not reach and talk to them directly, but, you still get a lot of influence and impact. So what are the podcasts that you follow? If you can give us 2 or 3 podcasts that people can follow as well to learn, that would be amazing.
Yes. So one of the ones I regularly listen to is Gary Vee, as we mentioned before, the Gary Vee audio experience. It's interesting because there's a huge variety of topics that he addresses. Yeah. Then another one, a fellow content creator that I admire, and I think he does a great job in every platform, is Nas Daily. The podcast is called Nas Talks.
Right.
I think it's very, very interesting. He has a very interesting story, and now he's incredibly successful. So it's kind of like a behind the scenes to what he does. So I think it's quite interesting, right? Yeah. For me. And then another one is Guy Kawasaki's Remarkable People. Mm-hmm. I think because he's very known, he used to work for Apple, and now he is a chief evangelist for another startup, for Canva. He gets to interview very, very successful, worldwide known people. I think it's very interesting to be able to learn from the guests, not from him, like in the case of Gary Vee. So that's another recommendation.
Right. That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, interview shows are also great to get to know the people behind the businesses and the companies we all know. Fran, it has been such a pleasure to have you at the Startups Without Borders podcast. I got so inspired by your story and your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I hope the listeners can get some value from it.
At Startups Without Borders, we've tested lots of marketing tools, but email is my favorite. It's the only tool that allows me to talk directly to our community of entrepreneurs. So how do I attract new subscribers? It all starts with an email marketing tool. I personally use MailerLite. In MailerLite, you can easily build lead generation landing pages. I know, it feels I'm talking Chinese, right? Landing pages allow you to establish contact points to create as many leads for your business as you can. MailerLite has pre-designed templates that you can customize in the drag-and-drop editor. It's simple, super cool, and captivating. If you want to try MailerLite, click on our special link in the episode notes, create a free account, and get all premium features for an entire month. You like what you hear? You should definitely follow us on your favorite platform. So next time you're on Instagram or Facebook, Type Startups Without Borders and check out all the videos, the stories, and the resources for you to become a legend.